2011. 1,299. There's the Montana-North Dakota border. And you can see it's crazy in North Dakota. A little more, shall we say, controlled in Montana. Well, anyway, and this line here is, that's the Brockton-Freud, what is it, anticline? Fault line. The Brockton-Freud fault line. And that is a major geological feature. Anyway, we're south of there, but historically they thought that the Bakken might end there. But now, with some degree of certainty, we know that it probably doesn't play much of a role at all in the Bakken production, that we will be companies will be very successful, including our own, in drilling north of this Brockton-Freud fault line. But that gives you a good picture, I think, doesn't it, of you know, the activity and the regional activity and how it's coming towards us. So I just wanted you all to see that. So go to the next one. These are the companies, Northeast Montana Leasing and Exploration, the major and local players. Their activity includes drilling and lease speculation. Some of them are, you know, looking for partners. Some of them are drilling. But this is a pretty good list of companies that are doing business on or near our reservation here in Northeast Montana. Okay, this gives you an idea of each separate company has their own color code, you see? And this color code is we didn't include it here yet but we will show you the leasing activity on ours. We just wanted to show you what it's like as it's coming towards us, okay? This isn't, we have a lot of color in here too. We just chose on this particular slide not to show it. It just gives you a picture of all the oil companies that are leasing, and they're right here. Right, next one. Okay, now I wasn't sure if how many of you kind of understood what a 1,280 acre spacing unit was, you know? So I wanted to spend a minute or two, so I hope you'll indulge me. These are townships. And I know you farmers all understand this. And there's section 1 and section 12 say. Section 1 has 640 acres in it. Section 12 has an additional 640 acres in it, hence a 1,280 acre spacing unit. Now both federal law and state law are in agreement, in concert, that this makes up, if the well is drilled according to the rules, regulations, and laws, that it will not drain another tract, either next to it, under it, next to it, or above it, that the oil produced in these two sections come from these two sections. Now this is really important because there's a lot of rumors and gay hoppy that oh, they're going to drill under our river and drain our oil and all this, and that's justified, but I know you've heard that. I've heard it 1,000 times. But no, I mean, it's done in a very lawful, legal, professional way. And they can get 4 Bakken wells drilled in there. They can, on top of 4 other wells, say, 3 wells. So you could have 8 wells drilled on this spacing unit in this case, Section 1 and Section 12. So be rest assured that this is very closely monitored. On trust land, on Indian land, it's monitored by the Bureau of Land Management. On state land, this guy. on non-Indian land, I should say. But the BLM is there. They are watching, and they are participating, and they are working in close concert with one another. This is a great example of two agencies, governmental agencies, that work very well together. And so once you get an approved spacing unit, then you can get an APD, application for a permit to drill, and it'll look like the next slide. Okay, this is Section 1 and Section 12 in close-up. Okay, now you see, this is an actual proposed spacing unit. That's, I think it's already been approved, but I'm not sure.
In the process.
It's in the process. All right. Well, under this river now, that will be tribal minerals, and the BIA is holding this up a bit because they haven't learned how to deal with this yet, or if they've learned, they're just not doing it. I'm saying that as diplomatically as possible. All right, so anyway, here you got Section 1, right here, and Section 12, which is south of the river. This well is going to be spudded in right here, south of the river, 1 mile and approximately a half from the river. Now, why they need to take a month and a half to figure out the environmental impact to the river is beyond me. It's going to be 2 miles underneath the river. And yet, anyway, the point I'm trying to make here, I don't want to get sidetracked, is the fact that this is half, so they will split the royalties. All these owners get paid their royalties in direct proportion to how much land they own in the spacing unit. It's all done fair and square. It's a simple math problem. It's if you own 1/8 of this spacing unit, you will get 1/8 of the royalties. If you own a whole section, you'll get half the royalties, etc., etc. But this, I thought, was an ideal picture to show you that this is the oil well where it is spud in. This is where the well site location is, and then it kicks off and goes straight north for almost 2 miles. And because it goes through these two sections, everyone in both sections will share, again, proportionately to the amount of mineral rights they own in this spacing unit. And there could be 4 wells in here, all of which everyone will share proportionately. So I thought that might be, something worth bringing up in this presentation, because it's a question I get asked a lot. So anyway, I guess we're ready for the next one. Local perspective, keeping abreast of reservation activity. The tribes, through their Fort Peck Energy Company and their minerals department, keep detailed information on leasing activity on and off the reservation, permitting activity in the region, drilling activity in the region, well logs and coring analysis, completion and initial production statistics, monthly production, seismic activity. The tribes own over 900 miles of 2D, two-dimensional, and 100 square miles of three-dimensional seismic data. So as you can see, the tribes have graduated into a pretty professional operation. This hasn't always been the case. I think with the Fort Peck Energy Company bringing their expertise in, we as a tribal government, we as a tribal nation are starting to take on the role, at least one of our entities is indeed an oil company, an oil exploration company. And I think I've seen it always. You know, worked for the BIA 14 years, been in the private sector, then worked, you know, in the tribal government, and I have never seen the professionalism that we now currently display and own within our government. So it's really, look at this, you know, I mean, we put this together. These are all oil wells. This is a continental well, you know, drilled there in 2656. You know, we keep track. We have scouts that go out and check any activity that's out here that is on or near our reservation. And it's just knowledge, and knowledge is power. So the more we know, the better we're going to do, and which, you know, the better for all of us, Indian and non-Indian alike. So, you know, if the tide goes up, all the boats in the bay go up together, whether they're Indian or white boats. Okay. A home perspective. The reservation is a checkerboard with roughly 1 million acres owned in fee. 660,000 acres owned by individual tribal members. That's what you call allotted tracts. Allottees own that. And 330,000 acres owned by the tribes. So this is kind of a breakdown. About 57% of the reservation doesn't even belong to Indians. It's, you know, 57% roughly is owned by non-Indians. So, you know, when I say, you know, the tide goes up, it definitely, I mean it. We're all in this together. And we have to plan together, we have to work together, and just as an example, myself and another councilman are going with Jim Shanks and Gary McDonald to go visit the governor's office on Monday, because we want to see a refinery on the old Cenco Refinery site. So we're going to go and we're going to push hard to make that happen, because you know what the weird thing is that this Cenco Refinery that was so beneficial to our community, they lost that government contract with Minot Air Force Base and pretty much put them out of business to a Canadian firm. Can you believe they buy Canadian jet fuel for the Minot United States Air Force Base? That's deplorable. But anyway, we're going to fix that. Ken, would you stand up? Ken Elliot. He's came and approached the tribes. He's not an oil man. He cleans up brownfield contaminated sites, and he knows how to do it, and he knows how to go after the ones that did the polluting and hold them accountable and help us build a new refinery, and that's going to happen. So, good job, Ken. Thanks for coming. Okay. All right. Now we're just
existing oil fields.
The existing oil fields on the reservation: Lester, Volt, Tule Creek, Northwest Poplar, East Poplar Unit, pipeline, trucking. Now, I got some news. I got some really good news. What's the name of that?
The Amsden.
Amsden?
Yep.
The Amsden Formation was just discovered. We have a new oil producing zone in the East Poplar Unit. It's called the Amsden Formation. And initial production rates were about 100 barrels a day, which for this area is pretty darn good. Not